The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. We believe that this basically means that the people retain their own rights that cannot be taken by the government. These rights can include many activities not listed or mentioned in the Constitution.
There are many people who would like to treat the Ninth Amendment as an ink blot, and there are many people who would like to treat the 10th Amendment as an ink blot. And we believe the framework of unenumerated rights and enumerated powers is critical. And when you mention differences that it was a very partisan time, possibly as rancorous or more rancorous than today, but there was perhaps less agreement on principle, I think it's because there was a more consistent view on the proper role of government and what was really being established by the Constitution.
The Ninth Amendment allows us to fly planes, have access to health care, and do many other things that would be illegal without it, such as dyeing your hair, having privacy, and eating fast foods.
Here in America, people obtain many protected rights.
Without this right, we might not be able to have access to health care and many other things important to the welfare of the citizens.
Also, the government could obtain too much power over the citizens if it weren't for these protections. The Ninth Amendment was first proposed by Alexander Hamilton and James Madison in 1789 and ratified in 1791.
When James Madison and Alexander Hamilton came to Congress with a proposal for the Ninth, the Federalists disagreed with them.
They wanted the government to have all the power, but 3/4 of the states and all of the anti-federalists agreed with them. This majority led for the amendment to be ratified. We asked the mayor of San Diego, Kevin Faulconer, about his opinion on the Ninth Amendment. How do you think the Ninth Amendment was meant to be interpreted? I believe it is to be interpreted that we Americans do have unalienable rights, and those rights are always changing as society progresses.
As a mayor, how do you believe the Ninth Amendment has affected our society? The Ninth Amendment does not allow for adding recognizable American rights without putting emphasis over others. The Ninth Amendment allowed for birth control to be legal nationwide, as well as created a standing for citizens' sovereignty related to the state and federal levels.
Do you think that the Ninth Amendment has changed the way our society has developed throughout the years? The Ninth Amendment doesn't allow for the people to have any special rights or freedoms. Contrarily to the Ninth Amendment could be interpreted to restrict rights. What I believe is that human interpretation can be manipulated, and that is more worrisome.
The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. What does that mean?
Well, Senator, I think it means what it says. The Ninth Amendment's not been much interpreted by the Supreme Court. There are different views about its effect and its meaning. And I don't doubt that there'll be cases and controversies in which I would, if confirmed, and maybe even if I'm not, asked to construe the meaning of that. It's one of those amendments that hasn't had a lot of judicial attention.
It can be said that the Constitution wouldn't have been ratified without the Ninth Amendment. It gave many more people rights and was an extremely important factor on whether or not to ratify the Constitution.
As you can probably tell, the Ninth Amendment was one of the most important provisions added to the Constitution. Not only did it help ratify the Constitution, but it also stopped the government from obtaining too much power over the citizens.
If it weren't for this amendment, the government would have too much power over everything, not in the Constitution. They could just walk into your house and tell you have to leave, and you would have to, even if there isn't a reason for it. That's why this amendment is so important. Overall, the Ninth Amendment is a crucial rule to the freedom of us, the citizens.
As previously said, it gives us rights that are not stated in the Constitution, and these rights are what give Americans the freedom to do what they want as they please without being suppressed by the government.
That is why the Ninth Amendment is the most vital amendment in the Constitution. It gives our citizens freedom.